video viewers, this is Sam from Team Pantheon here to bring you a deck profile. This is a Angel Feather Ramiel reverse deck profile, so let's get started. So first off, I use this as my starter. This one's skill is Counterblast 1. At the beginning of your ride phase, move it into your soul and take the top card of your deck and put it into your damage zone. In all honesty, a lot of people don't really use this in a Celestial Ramiel deck because it's not really all that useful for getting stuff in your hand. Most people would probably ever use this in like a Metatron deck because that's what the entire strategy is all about. So my grade 3s, 3 Ramiel reverse. I only really need 3 because you essentially really only actually need 2 in the deck, but in order to play her in regionals, I need to have 3. So, and I actually do find that running 3 is very consistent for me. But what her skill is, Limit Break 4, lock 2 units, and if you have a copy of her in the damage zone, she gets an extra effect. But when you lock 2, your entire front row, as long as they have Celestial in the name, get plus 5,000. And then if you have a copy of her in the damage, you can take one of your opponent's cards in their damage zone, put it into their drop, and they choose one of their rear guards and puts it into their damage zone. So, in my opinion, she's probably one of my favorite cards for Angel Feathers that has come out so far, because it takes the original aspect of controlling the damage zone on your side of the field and adds it to the other side of the field. So you're essentially controlling your both sides' damage zones. I then run 3 break rides. Once again, you can run up to 4, you can run up to 1. It's all up to preference. I usually like to do 3. 1 because if I ran any more, I'd end up probably doing 10 grade 3s. And plus, 3 for me is pretty consistent, so. I then have 3 Operation Celestial Armin. His skill is when there's a copy of him in the damage zone, he gets plus 2,000 for each copy. I also run the grade 2 and the grade 1 for the sole purpose of getting high numbers in Celestials. With Celestial Ramiel, there's not really a whole lot of high number attacks like there were with Zarashel. Whereas Zarashel, if you had a copy of her, pretty much almost all of your units got a huge power up. There's not really anything like that for Ramiel, so he gives you those high numbers. So onto our grade 2s. We have 3 Wild Shot. She's your 12k attacker. You can run 4. I actually was originally running 4 earlier today, and I found that I had to actually put her down to 3 because with having 4 of her, my grade 2 count was very high, and I was getting grade locked at grade 1 quite a few times. So next, we have 3 of the Surgical Celestial Batteriel. Like I said, he's the grade 2 version of Operation Celestial. Usually what my strategy is to have 3 of him in your damage, so when you have him on the field, he's a constant 14k attacker. Like I said, you get really high numbers with these guys, and it's kind of pretty easy to control with Ramiel your damage zone to make sure you have 3 of him in there. Next, I have 2 Emergency Celestial Danielle. Danielle's skill is Counterblast 1 when she's in the damage zone. Choose another card with Celestial name, and that's what you counterblast. She's in a special. And when another card is put into the damage zone through a card effect, you can call her from your damage zone and put the top card of your deck into your damage. She's essentially, if you don't have any interceptors on your field and you take a damage, you can call her out onto the field and she gives you an interceptor to help you guard. That's why I usually only run 2 of her, because I only use her for guard. I don't usually use her for an attack because she is only 9k, and once she's on the field, she's pretty useless. But that's just my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own. I then run 2 Candlelight Celestial Serial. Serial's skill is Counterblast 1 when this is placed on the rear guard. Search your deck up for any Angel Feather card and put it in your damage zone, and choose another face-up in your damage and put it into your drop zone. She literally searches out your Ramiel reverse copy, your Operation Celestial, and any other card that you need to put in your hand that you can easily, with other card effects, put into your hand. She gives you pretty much what you need, and she's essential for this deck too. To round up the grade 2s, we have 2 Love Machine Gun No Seal. No Seal skill is choose an Angel Feather from your hand and put it into your damage. When she's put in the rear guard, take a card from your damage zone and add it back to your hand. She, along with Serial, pretty much you can control whatever you want with these 2 cards when you put them in combo, putting them onto the field. Because if you have everything in your damage zone that you need, and you play Serial to get something you don't have, like say a perfect guard, you can then place this on another rear guard and add that perfect guard to hand. So, we then have our grade 1s. You start out with Nursing Celestial Ramiel. She is your grade 1 version of No Seal for Celestials. She's a Celestial only card, which is kind of good, kind of bad. The downside is you're not able to use her in like another type of Angel Feather deck. But for Celestials, which is actually really high out there right now, she is really good because you can use her and No Seal, and you essentially have any grade that you can use to control your damage zone. I then run 3 perfs. You can run 4. I usually only run 3 because I'm able to get them into my hand quite often. It's not that hard to do. I then run 3 of these guys. This is your grade 1 version of him, where he, with the 3 Operation Celestials that I run, he's a 12k booster. So with combination with this guy, that's a really good high number row. And if, say, you have this one here and 2 other cards back here, you can lock them and give him even more power. Pretty much, these are your high number cards for Celestials. And like I said earlier, you're not really going to get other high numbers with a Ramiel deck. After that, to round off our grade 1s, we have our 10k attackers. I once again only run 3. Other people, you're able to run 4. It's all up to preference. But I usually never really see the need to run more than 3 of these guys. Then my triggers. 4 heal, 4 draw, and 8 crit. In all honesty, your trigger lineup can be anything. I usually, with my decks, run up 7 crit, 5 draw. But I've noticed with this deck here, 8 crit works better. Just because when you're running those high numbers, you want to make sure you're able to make the pressure keep on them. Especially because with a lot of late game, you aren't really able to have high number attacks at the very beginning. So you want to have those crits in there, that a high chance to get them, to where you have to put the pressure on to where they have to guard more than they thought they would. So that is my Celestial deck profile. Hope you like it.